Hi there everyone, this is Dan Dicks here reporting for Press for Truth. Today is Tuesday, October 31st, 2023, and I'm coming at you here today with a good old-fashioned walk and talk vlog. You know, there's so many things going on right now in the world that we could talk about. There's a lot of controversy right now happening on X, formerly known as Twitter, all based around this NHL player who recently died. Now, I don't normally talk a lot about things going on in the sports world, but this one was interesting to me. If you didn't know, a NHL player was killed on the ice the other day, where another player's skate blade sliced across his jugular and he bled out on the ice. And there's a lot of people in the media who immediately said that this is a freak accident. Now, I've seen this sort of thing, you know, before, you know, so when I saw the footage, I definitely saw some questionable things, and people online are suggesting that this is a flat-out murder situation. So I'm not quite so sure that's the case, but I'm going to give you my views on what I think is going on there and what should happen. Speaking of the sporting world, there is a female Brazilian Jiu Jitsu fighting league who right now is being completely overrun by transgender women joining the league, aka biological men, right? And there's this one particular division within this all-female Brazilian Jiu Jitsu league who are refusing to go along with this because, well, it's dangerous, and some of them have boycotted the league by removing themselves, and one particular division had every single female remove themselves, leaving only biological men. So these weird, creepy biological men competing in an all-female, all-women's Brazilian Jiu Jitsu sporting event. It's absolutely insane. So we'll touch a little bit on that. And in other news, you may have seen my recent video on the shooter in Maine who killed 18 people after getting hearing aids and hearing voices in his head. Well, I reported on how the police knew about this guy, how he was actually put into a facility and had a mental health check done on him, and yet they had still, despite that fact, allowed this to happen. Well, new documents have just been revealed, new information is out that is proving that the police in Maine knew 2 weeks in advance through a literal memo that this man was armed, dangerous, and completely psychotic. So we either have a major failure of the police force in Maine, or we have yet another case of the powers that ought not be, as I call them, allowing this situation to happen for their own reasons. So we're going to talk about all of that, guys, and much, much more. But really quickly, just before we do, I want to let you know there's a dire situation happening right now in Acapulco, Mexico. In case you didn't know, guys, it was recently hit with a Category 5 hurricane in the middle of the night with zero warning. These winds got upwards of, you know, hundreds of miles an hour in some cases within a very, very fast time frame. This is something that is not normal. It hasn't really seen before in normal hurricane weather patterns. So again, they were completely left completely caught off guard, and we're not told that this was going to happen. So I want to point you to a Hurricane Otis recovery effort that has been organized by Jeff Berwick of the Dollar Vigilante, and I would encourage everyone there to check it out. You know, I've been to Acapulco many times. I've got friends who live there, and there's a lot of people there who really, really need our help right now. So please check that top link in the description below to see where you can contribute financially to the recovery efforts there following Hurricane Otis in Mexico. So please check that top link in the description below. All right, guys, so on to this controversy with the hockey player. As I said, I don't normally talk about topics like the NHL, but in this particular case, I've seen these things before, where yes, there's a freak accident where a skater's blade cuts somebody's neck or their wrist and they start bleeding profusely. And I was like, okay, I heard it on the news, right, about this freak accident, and I was like, oh, that's terrible. I get home and I see the footage, and I'm like, wait a minute. the guy's leg just swings up and out of nowhere, purposefully swinging in the direction of hitting him like a roundhouse karate kick. And then I find out that this guy actually holds the most penalty minutes in the entire league. He's known as being a dirty player. Now, it does appear to me that the kick was intentional. If you look at the footage, it certainly looks like that. Now, the problem I have with this is a lot of people instantly online were like, this is murder. That man murdered this other man, and it's a clear-cut case. He should be tried, you know, 1st degree, 2nd degree, whatever it is. And I don't necessarily see it like that, folks. I don't think this man woke up with the intention of killing someone that day. So to call it murder, I think, is just being intellectually dishonest. I think what is more likely here is that this man did play a little dirty, did intend for his leg to go up and maybe kick this man, not necessarily for the blade to slice across the jugular. I don't think he woke up with the intentions that morning of killing someone. Having said that, if you are in an altercation with somebody and you purposefully take a swing at them and they slip and fall and hit their head and die, well, no, you didn't intentionally murder them, but because of your actions, they are dead, and you should therefore be investigated. You should therefore be held accountable to some degree for what took place there. So I think we're seeing something similar with this guy. They're all, you know, just the media is completely dismissing this as an accident. I honestly think it needs to be looked at a little more closely, not necessarily with the intention of getting this guy on 1st degree murder, but certainly with the intention of holding him responsible for making that very inappropriate decision, if in fact that is the case, and it appears to be, if you look at the footage, guys. So just wanted to give you my thoughts on that, because I was looking at other things going on in the sporting world, particularly the female Brazilian Jiu Jitsu tournament circuit. And apparently there's this one league where there's so many transgender women, which we know are biological men, who have been signing up to this thing, that all the women were boycotting it by removing themselves. And there's one division that was left with only biological men. Look at this. This is a tweet from Riley Gaines. In a martial arts tournament last week, several females boycotted because of the surplus of males competing against the women. In most of the women's divisions, there were more males than females competing. In one of the women's divisions, there were only males left competing, as seen in the podium picture below. And so, this is so absolutely crazy, because it's not like Leah Thomas, you know, swimming in a race. You know, this is something different. This is combat physical sports, and just the fact that I have to even explain why this is an issue is really wild. Because if you're familiar with MMA or Brazilian Jiu Jitsu at all, you know the name of the game is finding a weakness in your opponent's positions. You know, whether that be a weak spot where you can choke them out, a weak spot where you can force them to tap out, otherwise they're going to have a limb broken, whether that be the neck, whether that be the elbow. You know, it's all about trying to find and capitalize on those weak spots. And obviously the female body, the structure, the bone density, the muscle density, all of this doesn't stand a chance against a biological man in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy, and it's absolutely downright dangerous. So now it's not just a matter of, oh, they might lose the competition like in a swimming race. Now it's they may be physically injured for life. People like have bones broken and ligaments torn muscles torn, you know, concussions, all these sorts of things happen in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. And so I think these women are doing the right thing by saying, okay, if the league doesn't want to deal with this because they're being too politically correct, you know what? We'll just boycott it by removing ourselves from it altogether. And now what you have left is just a league, like I said, of these creepy men who are competing against each other in a all-females division, and now they just look totally crazy and stupid. So I think that's a good way to go, is just to, you know, boycott it when you see stuff like that. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. But most importantly, guys, one of the things I wanted to talk about today is this shooting in Maine that happened. It was like just last week. 18 people died. I already did a report on it explaining how the authorities knew all about this guy. He had spent time in a facility, a hospital, an army-based hospital, like back in the summer. And they knew about this. But new documents are now coming out that show that the police were sent a file explaining exactly who this guy is, what his name is, that he's armed and dangerous, and that he's completely psychotic. Just take a quick look at this. Missed chances to stop Maine mass shooter Robert Card. Every police department in the state received this alert describing his psychotic plans with his family and reported their fears to cops in May. Police in Maine had multiple opportunities to stop mass shooter Robert Card before he murdered 18 people in a bowling alley in a bar last week. Newly released documents have revealed, in addition to a September alert that was issued to every police force in the state describing Card as armed and dangerous and psychotic, his own son and ex-wife also reported their fears to the police in May. Guys, the police bulletin, known as File 6, was a previously reported on, but can now be revealed in full by Daily Mail. It was concealed on October 18th, a week before Card slaughtered 18 people in Lewiston, Maine, before killing himself. It was issued by the County Sheriff's Department on September 15th, the Sagadahoc County Sheriff's Department, after Card's colleagues at the Army Reserve Training Base reported concerns about him. And that's what I reported on last week, that his own Army reservists were reporting major concerns about this guy. He was removed, had the police called on him, removed from the facility and entered into a hospital, evaluated for his psychiatric situation. And now we're finding out they were literally told he's armed, he's dangerous, he's psychotic. Yet, like in Uvalde, it seems like they just completely allowed this to happen for, as we know, guys, and as I talked about in my previous video on this, for the purposes of gaining more strict gun control laws in the US. So that's essentially what this whole thing is boiling down to. And I had a lot of people asking me about the fact that, you know, he started hearing these voices in his head after getting, you know, hearing aids put in, which is quite questionable and strange on its own. But I have seen a number of these mass shooters say, some of them on video, that they hear voices. And I think it's demonic possession more so than, you know, any kind of covert operation of you know, sending voices into somebody's head. I'm not saying that that's not real and that's not possible and that doesn't happen. This is something that should be looked at, but there are a number of cases of these guys hearing voices without any kind of hearing aid or technology around them. And in most often, more cases than not, they're literally talking about demon possession, even from their own mouths. So just unreal that you literally have a demon-possessed, psychotic, armed and dangerous man threatening to shoot up his Army Reserve, already saying he's hearing voices and going to shoot up these places where he hears the voices, and then the police just stand back and do absolutely nothing. This is big. This is something that people should be aware about. So just wanted to bring this to your attention, because last time I did a video on this, I said, you know, it's hot, it's happening now. If there are any updates, I'll let you know. this is the big update today, guys. They not only knew about him being in this, you know, psychiatric evaluation in the Army hospital and all this stuff, like way back last summer, but his family wanted him, you know, put in back in May, and just 2 weeks before the shooting, they all basically got a memo saying the guy is, you know, armed, dangerous, psychotic, go get him. Nobody did anything. Again, guys, guns are not the problem. Mental health issues are the problem. And as I said in my previous video on this, if you're making this about guns when this is very clearly a case about mental health, you're just being intellectually dishonest. So just wanted to bring all of that to your attention today. Ladies and gentlemen, again, I would ask that you check out the Hurricane Otis recovery relief effort being organized by Jeff Berwick there in Acapulco. It's just devastating. It completely obliterated all of Acapulco. I mean, the hotel strip is like gutted. A lot of the poor areas where people can barely afford to have, you know, proper roofing, it's just like sheet metal and stuff. It's all just completely destroyed. And obviously it's going to take a lot of time to get all the aid and the help that they need in there. So yeah, this happened a week ago, but they still need help, you know, and they still need money. So please think about contributing with crypto or to the GoFundMe campaign that Jeff Berwick has organized there. That's all for today, guys. Just wanted to bring all of that to your attention. Once again, don't forget to check that top link in the description below to where you can donate to help in the Hurricane Otis recovery effort. And that's all for today, guys. One more day in CrazyTown, but we're getting through it all together. Please click that thumbs up button, share this video with your friends and family, and stay tuned. We're going to have more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dicks reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.